C8 Corvette. It is amazing. It's revolutionary, a completely new vehicle from the ground up. 6.2 liter V8, 495 horsepower, 470 foot-pounds of torque, 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds, 194 mile per hour top speed. It's amazing. It's also affordable. All right, to start off, guys, we've been hearing this over and over and over, that this is an affordable car. And on the surface, it sounds like it is. When you compare it to a Lambo or a McLaren or even the high-end Porsches, I mean, it does, $60,000 does sound cheap. Chevrolet has created a mid-engine supercar out of the supercar that already was the Corvette. Well, even though it does sound affordable and it sounds cheap, when you compare, it really isn't affordable. $60,000. $60,000. Is that a lot of money? To some of us, it's the amount of money we make the entire year. To some of us, it's the amount of money we make a month. So is $60,000 a lot of money? I would be willing to bet that if you are watching this video now, that $60,000 is a heck of a lot of money. And that brings me to a point. $60,000, guys. That's the base price. That's cloth seats. Guys, if you're buying this car at the base price, you probably can't afford it. I was just watching Street Speed 717's YouTube channel, and his spec'd out car that he thought was gonna cost him $85,000, I think was like 110 or something like that. He had to pull back a bunch of options, partly because they weren't available till later and he needs the car right away for his business, for YouTube content, which again is why he can afford the car. But gosh, I think his car is going to be $95,000, guys. 95. A well-spec'd car, but 95 grand. Most of us cannot afford that. Most of us cannot afford that. My wife calls me a pessimist. I call myself a realist. I'm always trying to look at the reality of things. What is the reality here? The car is astonishing. I sat in it. It's great. I would buy one if I could afford it. But I can't, which is why I drive a 95 Suburban that cost me $3,000, a 2003 Suburban that cost me $9,000, and a 2005 Envoy that cost me $6,000. I bought all of them cash, I have no payments, and I've turned them into businesses. Businesses that literally pay me. Not bragging at all. The point is that I can't afford to go buy the Corvette. And I'm not gonna buy it because of that, although I want to. Now, there are a heck of a lot of reasons to buy this car. You know, we have the YouTubers, like I just mentioned, Street Speed 717, Hoovie's Garage, the Stradman, to name a few. Those guys can afford to go buy one cash at whatever price it is. I don't know if they usually buy it cash, if they get loans or whatever. That's because of their business and tax write-offs and how things work that way. But I'm willing to bet that all three of those guys and many others like them can go out and buy that car for 100 grand and write a check cash right there. And those are the types of people that should be buying this car. You like it a lot, you can afford it completely without even thinking about it, you buy the car. But I'm gonna give you a couple reasons why you should definitely not buy the car. Well, let's break this down. How do the rich buy these types of cars? And I'm not just talking about the C8 Corvette. I'm talking about any new car. Any new car. A brand new Suburban. A brand new Ford Raptor. They're all expensive. They're all very expensive. So how do people buy these? Well, like I was saying, you're rich and you buy it cash. And those people drive the heck out of the cars. They put miles on the cars. They race the cars. They drive them the way they were made to be driven. They're not like me and, park it 6 miles away in the nearest empty lot and then walk 6 miles to get to the grocery store just so I don't get a door ding. There's a big hype these days because of YouTube, because we see all of these content creators and their business is to buy new cars, to modify these cars, to give us car content. And we watch that and we love it. I love it. It's fun. But the reality is, those cars for those guys are straight up business transactions. Not only for tax purposes, but literally that is the product. That is the way they create income. They have to do that. Of course, I wish I did that, but you got to start somewhere. I'm starting with what I have. I'm trying to be content with what I have. I'm trying to build a business off of what I have, what I'm fortunate enough to have. And I appreciate these things. And I'm not going to go into debt to buy a car because I have no self-control. Think about it. Do you have a cell phone? I'm sure you do. Most of us have cell phones these days, smartphones, regardless of the brand. And with that phone, did you buy it cash? Did you pay the $1,000? Some of us did, but some of us have monthly payments on the phone. And why do we have monthly payments on the phone? Well, it's because we couldn't stomach handing over $1,000 for a phone. And why couldn't we stomach that? Did we have $1,000 in our bank account? Sure. But we knew deep down inside that wasn't a great idea. It wasn't the right thing to do with that $1,000. So then we go, okay, well, I can afford the $24 a month payment for 2 years. I can afford that. Maybe you can, but the flip side of that is you should have just used your old phone for another 2 years and maybe saved up a little bit and then bought the next phone cash. That way you don't have a $25, $27 a month payment for 2 years, or for the rest of your life, for that matter. We need to get out of debt before we start buying extravagant things. And we need to buy these things cash. That's the only true way we can afford these things, is by buying them cash. If we're financing them, it's because we can't afford them. Same thing goes for our mortgage on our house. Guys, if we could afford the house, we would have bought it cash. But we didn't because we couldn't. And there was this guy that decided to lend us money if we paid him back plus interest. Little do people know that over 30 years of paying on their $100,000 mortgage, they're actually paying $200,000, depending on interest rate and stuff like that. But guys, most of us can't afford anything we buy. If we're getting loans, we can't afford it. Here's another one. Do you shop at Nordstrom Rack instead of Nordstrom's? I do. I shop at Nordstrom Rack because I can find a pair of Levi's for $30 and I can't afford to pay $50 or $60 or whatever they cost regularly. So I buy all my clothes on sale because I'm frugal, but I'm also trying to save money and buy things I can afford, which again drives home the point that I cannot afford the C8 Corvette. I just can't. I can't go buy it cash. It's not a good financial investment, especially when you talk about the fact that the moment you drive that sucker off the lot, you just lost 20 grand. It just flew out the window and the windows weren't even down. Guys, I bet 99% of us can't afford to buy a brand new car. Can't afford to buy that C8 Corvette even though we want to. Do you have credit card debt? Do you keep a rolling balance on your credit cards? Doesn't matter how much it is, $100,000, $1,000, $10,000, if you keep a balance on your credit cards, it's because you don't want to pay it off, because you can't afford to, and because it makes you sick when you think about doing it. So you keep paying the minimum payment. And little do you know that over time you're paying more than what those items that you purchased on that credit card actually cost. And that's fine. Some of us absolutely have to do things that way and use credit cards that way. But man, it really sucks. I'm willing to bet most people with credit card debt wish they didn't have it. So why am I making a video like this? A video that's somewhat depressing. Well, I don't think anyone else is. I know there are financial guys out there making videos just about being financially, free. But in terms of the auto industry and buying all of these new exciting cars we see, and trucks, of course, we have to realize that if we're going to buy these cars and we're buying the cheapest model available and we're getting a loan on it and we're parking 6 miles away because we don't want a door ding, and we're treating it like an idol, then most likely we can't afford it, guys. So let's hunker down. Let's drive our old vehicles or buy a used vehicle like I did. I bought used vehicles because I realized I didn't want a car payment. Big deal. It gets a little bit worse gas mileage than something that's 25 years newer. Who cares? I don't have a $500 to $1,500 a month car payment. I can fix this thing with my own 2 hands. I can make a business out of it by recording it and putting it on YouTube and trying to help people. While I do wish I could go buy a C8 Corvette and put that deposit down, or a Jeep JL, or a Ford Raptor for that matter, I'm not going to do that anytime soon. And the reason why is because I can't afford it. And I hope you guys don't go get into debt, ruining your financial life just to drive a cool car, and they are cool, and impress the guy next to you at a stoplight. Dave Ramsey always says that, and it really hit home for me. We can have as much fun, guys, driving used vehicles. You can have just as much fun driving an old Fox body Mustang, modifying that, and that's cheap. Driving an OBS Silverado or Sierra, modifying that, putting a lift, big tires, cheap. You can afford it most of the time. So if you're like me and you shop on the sale racks, I don't have credit card debt, but let's just say you have rolling credit card debt. You live with your parents or in your mom's basement or something like that. You have a mortgage. You need to pay off that mortgage. Start dropping $100 extra a month on your mortgage or your credit cards. Get those suckers paid. Don't even think about buying a new car right now. I know it's exciting. But the reality is you just can't afford it. You can't. Because if you're buying the $60,000 base model, it's because you can't afford it. Think about it. Guys, I'm sorry this is a somewhat depressing video, but hey, maybe it'll help 1 or 2 of you stay out of debt. Or at least that much debt. I don't know. All right, guys, well, I'm Jimmy with One Road. I really hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little bit different than what I normally do, but if you want to learn more, please check the description down below and go to my website at www.oneroadgarage.com. You can also join the team. And what do I mean by that? If you go to my website, you'll see a link, and that'll take you to a video that I made regarding this 95 Suburban. I'm trying to build this thing up. And of course, that costs money, a lot of money. We need a lift, we need bigger tires, among the plethora of other things. So if you'd like to join the team and have your name listed on that team page, go to the website and check it out. Again, I'm Jimmy, you've been watching One Road. A thumbs up here would be great for the channel and this video, and comment below and let me know what you think. Until next time, drive safe and don't go into debt, guys.
Last time.